Okay, today guys, we're talking about a flintlock pistol. We're talking about the condition of it and what they're all about, okay? This pistol is about 150 years old, so it's really nice. So this sort of reminds me of the Battle of Trafalgar, and up here I've got above my king chair, we've got a picture, a lithograph that was done in 1876 of Nelson's death. And this was in the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. So here they've got a few blunderbusters in this picture. We've got a lot of glare from the glass, obviously, but it is what it is, and it's hard to take photographs of this. But every time I look at this, it always amazes me, all the detail and everything in the picture, and you see something new all the time. Really neat, yeah. But anyway, we've got a guy who's going to talk about this instead of me talking about this pistol. We've got Hillbilly. I call this guy Hillbilly Collector X. He's a bit like a hillbilly, and he's been collecting for about 50 years. And over the time of his collecting, he's had a lot to do with these sort of type of guns. And this is one we're going to video, and he's going to talk about it because he's better explaining about it than me.
Okay, so what we have here is a British military flintlock pistol, which dates from about 1785. It was made at the British government main armoury, which was the Tower of London, and it's marked with Tower and also GR because it was made in the period of George III. For those of you who don't know about flintlocks, you would load it first, put down your powder and your ball. Yep, it's a 66 caliber, and this is fired a 1 ounce lead ball, which we see here, and beside it is a modern 308 projectile, just to give you an idea of the size. So the powder went in, followed by the ball. Then you drew the cock. These were called a cock back in those days, not a hammer. You drew that to half cock, which is like a safety. You put powder in the pan here. Then the frizzen went down, and you draw it back to full cock. And when you pull the trigger, this cock flies forward, and this flint scrapes down the front of the frizzen, and two things happen. That makes a lot of sparks, and it pushes the frizzen out of the way. The sparks ignite the powder in the pan, and it goes through a vent hole to the main charge. And all things being equal, it went off and with no problems. I'll just let that down. This one is made with a swivel ramrod. Some of the earlier models and even contemporary models had wooden ramrods, but they were often lost or broken. So they came up with this idea of a swivel ramrod to ram the ball in, and you couldn't lose that in the heat of battle. This also has a skull crusher butt. It's called that for a reason. These were only single shot and took several minutes to reload. And if it was really windy or wet, or you're in the middle of a fight with a bunch of other guys, you just could not reload these in the middle of a fight. So it became a club. And it's got a skull crusher butt, as I say, and it's obviously been used. It's had such a heavy blow on it that it's broken out some of the timber. Now that would have happened during use. It's also damaged the bottom of the tang here, which has had a wee repair, which was very probably done at the time. As Shane said, this was the type of gun used at Battle of Trafalgar, and these were certainly used in the Battle of Waterloo. This would have been the latest, greatest gun at the time.
It's got a few marks on the top, hasn't it, Steve? With like those arsenal marks at the top of the wood there. Where it's got those numbers and everything on top.
It has, yeah. We've got a 4 and, they'll show up on the camera, I guess.
Yeah, 669, I believe.
Yep.
I don't know, my eyesight isn't that good, but we've got, 669.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
and what are those for, Steve?
well, they could either be rack numbers from when it was in the tower, or they could be regimental numbers. I can't say which without further research.
It'd be very hard to tell. They could be 4th Dragoons, and then that's the issue number for that guy on 4th Dragoons. But we're only guessing at that. That is just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have those numbers on the top of the gun. I believe anyway, isn't it, Steve?
It is. Yeah. Well, it's certainly been issued and used, but it's survived in remarkably good condition. The wood is all very, very sound. There's a few old marks around the trigger guard. Possibly from someone hanging it on a nail above their fireplace or
whatever. These were used in their belts, and they used to have them in the belts. So it probably caused a bit of belt damage as well, because one side would be flat, at a guess. But that's just me guessing. But I could be wrong. But whatever, those old marks on there are quite old, ain't they?
they've been there a long time.
Been there a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the side of the barrel, we also got numbers on side of the barrel just over here, isn't that, Steve? And what they are
The Georgian proof marks.
they're Georgian proof marks
From the Tower of London.
from the Tower of London. I'm trying to zoom in on it, but it's a bit difficult. But they're there, and you'll see them in the other photographs. But anything else you want to talk about this gun, Steve?
No, just to say, I might be repeating what you said, but it's around 250 years old, and it's still in very, very good order. There's no major splits or cracks in the wood. There's a wee bit of damage there, as noticed.
Yeah, with that skull crusher, but that's well, we've talked about that before. But that sort of brings the flavour in it. It's sort of a been there, done that gun, and I call it be there, done that gun, because I've been in the Navy, and it just is what the gun has, and it's got that feel that it's been there and done that.
Yeah, and it's in full working order. I'll never pull the trigger, and let the hammer down when you're not using it. But yeah, these guns inspired a few sayings that a lot of us know. We've all heard of lock, stock and barrel, which means everything, all in. Well, that comes from these guns. That's the lock, that's the stock, and that's the barrel. And another saying that came from this period is a flash in the pan, which normally means something big was supposed to happen and didn't. And sometimes when these were being used, the powder in the pan would go off, but it wouldn't ignite the main charge. So that's where that saying comes from, a flash in the pan. So not a lot more else to say, except it's a lovely old 250-year-old pistol.
Yeah, very nice, Steve. Hillbilly Collect X. But I think we've got pretty much everything we need to. We're only doing one take on this, but it is what it is, and we've done a good video, and hope you enjoy it. It's about 8.5 minutes long, but it is just what it is, and hope you enjoy it. Thank you.